Wow, camp memories. I was recently listening to an episode of my brother and I's podcast or YouTube cast, whatever. I don't know what you call it, blog, vlog. There's so many names for shit anymore. I don't care. You get old, you don't care anymore. It's like we made a video about beer and beer camp, and in the video we talked about different kinds of camp memories, and man, it really jogged my memory back to like the most kind of like crazy parts of camp. And I don't know why when I get to drinking and I start to think about like there's always the most innocent parts of camp, and then like those savory little nuggets come about in the back of your brain. And you're just like, oh yeah, let's talk about that. So let's talk about camp. Sixth grade camp was awesome. I was fired up, man. My dad was there. Martin Ferrier's dad was there. John Curtin, Mr. Curtin was there. There were some alpha dads there. Like there were some the dudes in my class that were alpha males. I was not one of them. I wanted to be kind of in that middle tier, and I didn't. I got thrown. It's hard. I was always kind of in the misfits camp. We weren't misfits, but we weren't losers, but we weren't like the top A. It was me, Andy, McKay, Gessig, and then we had Greg Gaslin, and we had I think Kevin Faulkner was in there. Glusack, did Glusack get there? I don't know. I think that was it. I think it was 5 kids of a cab. So like me and Andy were kind of like our own thing, and Matt was cool. We loved Matt, and then Greg and was Cliff there too? I forget. Cliff Kern. Kern. No, I think Cliff Kern and Glusack were. They were like the nerd. That was the nerds. All right. So there was one camp that was really nerdy. Anyway, the whole. I don't know why I'm starting there. I don't know, but this is going to be great because the memories are flooding back, and I can sit here. I'm sitting here in my basement, this dark and dungy, musty basement, and I can smell Campanaba. I can see it. I can feel it. I don't remember you never remember the trip up. You remember being that shitty ass bus, but as a kid, you're always on so many goddamn bus trips. It's like they just all meld into one. It's like, who cares? Just you're on a bus to nowhere. But I mean, it really is. As a kid, it's like the longest bus ride you're ever gonna have. It's pretty crazy when you think about it. And you get there, and there it is, and you're at camp, and you're excited for it. It's such a cool thing though when you're a kid, because like you get there at school, and all the parents are around you, and they're all waving goodbye, and you're like all fired up. We're going on this trip, yeah, it's awesome. It's almost like you don't know if you're ever gonna make it back. It's like such a weird thing. It's like because like you kind of know what camp's about, and unless you're an outdoorsy kid, you don't really know, like, we're a bunch of kids from the suburbs. We're going to some camp out and whatever. You felt like it was 10 million miles away. It wasn't that far. But in your mind, you felt like, all right, we're going to rough it, dude. I mean, these kids in the country probably do this shit all the time. But we're just some kids, whatever. So we get there. It takes some time to settle in, obviously. Right away, we had a problem. And this is going to lead to the main crux of the story and the main, like, the whole thing, which is I'm going to allude to later. But, man, so we get there, and like I think the pool's down. It was really hot. Everything was fucked up. Like the systems weren't working for whatever reason. The plumbing was fucking shot. Whatever else was shot. The boys' cabins were okay. The girls' cabins were shot. The girls' cabins were shot to shit. They weren't working, whatever. So we had like 6 cabins. So like the whole thing, like already like the girls' cabins were thrown in disarray because it was like they had their girls set up and all their hierarchy and stuff. Like I'm sure they had their own hierarchy too. I didn't really think about it. We just kind of like girls are girls, whatever. I guess you knew who the nerdy girls were. You knew who the popular girls were. You kind of like whatever. But as far as like competition goes and like the whole like rating the cabin kind of thing goes, it was like the whole thing was thrown in a whack from day one. Because here we go, all the boys are in their little Indian cabins. We got our own little teepees and we're doing whatever. Like we're all set up, man. We're ready to go. So the girls, what they did was like, we're going to put you guys up in this suite, like on the other side of like the campus here. I forget what it was. It was like this big building. We'll find out later what it was, but. So all the girls were all together in like this big, like, it's like a sorority house. So it was like, and honestly, even though I didn't really know what a sorority house was like, I kind of like in 6th grade, I kind of already knew like, this is like all the girls are hanging out together in this big, it was like a girl castle. It was like a girl fortress. So, we got there, we did our standard shit, the steal the bacon crap, and yeah, there was a couple storylines in between. I really dug the archery. That was like, I really fell in love with archery. I wish I kind of got more into archery because it was awesome. The biggest scandal of the entire camp for us was Picard, Dr. Picard, and Miss, what was her name? She was a fourth grade teacher. I forget. Nobody's going to hear this anyway, so I don't care about revealing names. But Favorite? No, it wasn't Mrs. Favorite. It was somebody else. I forget. It may have been. I don't know. But they were both married, whatever. And we knew what was up. They went out on this canoe ride. We were canoeing. I love the canoeing. Canoeing is fun, too. But they went out on some kind of canoe ride, and like they came back with a different change of clothes. They were gone for like 4 hours. So the rumor was that they canoed out to some like remote area of the campground. And they fucked, and then they came back and whatever. And it was like the worst kept secret of Leadham Elementary School is that the principal was fucking one of the teachers. Whatever, go figure. So I do remember at one point one of the kids. That's not funny, but one of the kids fell over. There was like a small falls there. The falls were very small. Like they were hard to go over. It was very light ripple. Like there wasn't much current. I mean, Billy and Mark and I went canoeing down some shit. I don't have a lot of experience in canoeing, but I mean, Jesus Christ, like, kind of handle your shit, especially when there's an adult on board. Whoever it was, like adult and two kids on the canoe trips or whatever. This guy lost his shit, obviously, because like they went over the falls and like they fell and they got stuck and like nobody died or got hurt, but it was just kind of funny. It was just kind of sad, So that was kind of stupid. But the dads were kind of cool. We had I'm trying to break this down to like 3 or 4 different segments now. I know what the end is going to be, but. The middle. Let's talk about our cabin. So, because we had some weird shit going on in our cabin. We had some bunk beds going on. It was I remember being very dark and just kind of shitty. Very what's the word for it? Humid. It was just kind of like crappy. The dads would go out and they would drink beer every night. We knew it. Like they didn't think we knew it, but we knew they would go out and drink beer every night. I remember like Dad telling me later on in life that they drove out because apparently like liquor was banned. They're not allowed to do it. But these guys back then, our dads were like, I knew they were all beer drinkers. You could tell they were shit because we were all out with our dads fishing and drinking beer. We knew what they were all about. So they kind of let like the cabins run themselves, and it kind of became like a mini Lord of the Flies type of environment in there. So all I know is we had somebody, Greg Gaslin was like he was a freaking he was a sleepwalker. And he would get up and start, like, fucking beating people's asses in the middle of the night with coat hangers and shit. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here, dude? Like, I remember him beating the shit out of Kevin Faulkner with a coat hanger, like, unmercifully. And, like, he was, like, screaming and shit. I was like, this is fucking crazy, dude. Like, it's the first time you're with a bunch of kids. Like, I slept at Randy's house. And I don't know if I ever slept over Matt's. But we knew, like, Andy, Matt, and I knew each other fairly well. And we were, like, pretty cool. But these kids were fucking, like, unhinged, dude. Like, you never know what's going on. And then there was, like, some, pecking order between the other kids, and there would be fights and shit like that. And, like, the dads didn't really care. It was like, whatever. We'll just deal with it. I remember at one point the bathroom's not working either. I remember taking a lot of shits and pisses in the woods, too. Maybe we just felt like doing it because whatever. I don't really know. But one of my fondest memories is just Greg Gaslin holding that fucking hanger over Faulkner's fucking ass and just fucking beating. Maybe Glusak was there. It may have been Glusak. I don't know. I forget it was 5 or 6, but somebody got their ass beat with a coat hanger. That's all I know. I'm sorry. My storytelling is just taking a turn for the worse. The movie front was shitty. The cafeteria was pretty shitty. Everyone hyped up movie night like it was some big deal. It was like Herbie the Love Bug. It was a terrible, and it was like they projected it in the cafeteria because the weather was really bad. I think we were supposed to watch it outside and it sucked. That was really terrible. I remember the one thing I really regret is we did skits too. Now, I love skits. I'm fairly, like, I try to be fairly personable when I'm filming myself and do, like, stuff. And when we're doing the Brothers Dempsey shit and all, I try to, like, act like I know what I'm doing. But back then, still then, I was very, very shy. And I didn't want to do anything in front of people. And I think that was the beginning of my anxiety kicking on too, being away from camp and stuff like that, and being away from like my mom and all that kind of shit. Like you're kind of feeling like far from home. You're like, I don't know. I felt kind of weird, and like by like day 5 or 6, it was like towards the end of the camp, I was ready to fucking go. Like I didn't care anymore. And but Andy insisted on doing this whole kiss thing. Like, he had talked about it for like, he was just building it up. Like, everyone has their role. We're gonna do a kiss song. You're gonna play instruments. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do that. Blah 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 blah. And I really wanted no parts of it. I wanted no parts of it. And so I faked some kind of illness or something. I was like, I'm sick. I'm not gonna. I didn't do it. It was stupid. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to play these fake guitars, and I don't know what our skit was supposed to be. It was something to a Kiss song. It was like, you get loud. I don't know, shout it out loud. I forget what it was. He could tell you. But I'm sorry, Andy. I never told you this when I was a kid back then. But yeah, I didn't want to do it. I kind of faked like I did, and I was like, no, fuck you. I'm not gonna do this shit. I just thought it was stupid, and I didn't want to deal with it. He was very like animated about how he wanted it to be and orchestrated, and like how this has to be this way, this has to be we're gonna do this way. I'm like, I don't know, dude. I'm just like, you're making this shit too complicated. I'm not really here to do a skit, run a fireplace. I just want to just, whatever. So that was pretty much that. So there were some ups and downs, but the biggest part was the raid. The big raid. Everyone has to have a big raid, right? Like, 6th grade camp panty raid, right? So, and this is one that the kids and the dads were all in on. That was the greatest thing, dude. That's the best thing. Like, the dads were like, I think that when the dads were drinking at the campfire, they were like thinking how we're going to strategize doing this panty raid now. Because before it was kind of like one cabin attacks another and we're just going to do whatever. But now it was like, oh shit, the girls are in this whole big, like castle thing. Like, now it's like 5 cabins of Indians attacking like this big, like, how we get, like, there's no, like, we just got to bust through the front door and just do whatever, And the dads were all on board. It was great. I don't know if kids still do like the panty raid thing anymore. I don't even know what a panty raid is. Like, we're not grabbing their panties. We're just fucking around with them. I don't know. Who the hell knows? And nobody's like, it's a weird concept. It's like I don't know. I'm sure they're very frowned upon today. But anyway, so it was a go. We were in unison, man. We were lockstep. It was like even the nerd cabins and then the stud cabins, they were locked. We were locked in. And nightfall hit, and we just descended, and it was great because we were up on the top of the cabins at the top of the hill there, and we started just marching down the hill, in the darkness, and it was great. Like, the dads were behind us. We were just like, no mercy, dude, no mercy. And we knew we had to get into that front door. That was like the only thing we had because there was nothing else. It was like this big, it was like a chateau, I guess is how I can explain it. It was like a big wide complex. It was a double, we didn't no idea what it looked like. I mean, we don't have fucking, blueprints and shit. We didn't know what the hell it looked like when we got inside. But we were armor shaving cream. And the dads had they had all this shit. Like, yo, guys, we got they had all the supplies and shit. It was so great. Like, they knew. I guess, I don't know. Who the hell knows? I've only been a part of that every once in my life, Do dads and kids still do this shit? If so, let me know. So we had the shaving cream and all that kind of crap. And we got down there and we got to the front and there's nobody there. It was deathly quiet. We thought, oh shit, they moved. They're punking us. Nobody knows. They're ready for the attack. We thought they were so much smarter than we were. Waiting in anticipation for us to come. But no, we busted through that door. I don't know if somebody. I think we just busted right through. And we just fucking ran in, and the girls were like, "Oh my god!" I can remember the look on some of the moms' faces, they were shocked, they didn't think this was gonna happen. They had no clue. This was shock and awe to them. And I was like, "Man, you guys should be fucking prepared for this shit. This is what happens, right?" They were yelling at us. They were like, "Get out of here! Get the hell out of here!" We were fucking spraying shaving cream all over the place. We fucking. I remember Ben Gledhill fucking getting in the fucking drawers and shit, grabbing shit. People were seriously grabbing panties and shit. I don't know why. I mean, not all of us were that intrigued, but I remember Andy and I were part of the front lines, and we were getting fucking crazy, man. We just we went to town on that shit. But just there's a few memories I have in my life that are as funny as the look on some of the moms' faces of us just fucking busting in there and just going crazy. And man, we tore that place apart. I mean, we ran it roughshod. And I can remember, I don't know what happened, in the aftermath. There were definitely some. I don't know what they do to the parents, but I know there were some reprimands. I think they found out that some of the dads had brought alcohol on the premises, and there were some hand slaps going on. But like we weren't expelled, we weren't thrown out, we weren't like it was like all right. It's almost like they knew that shit happened, you know. Whether this was the worst they've ever seen or the most mediocre, or whether it was like who knows, but. All I know is it was a hell of a raid. We had a hell of a time, and it was great. It was great fun. And sixth grade camp, despite all its weirdness and some kind of other stuff, and the crafting was weird. We did bug stuff and all kind of crap, and I don't know. There was good and bad, but I have to say top 5 memory for me in my lifetime. So for me to remember it for the most part now, I have to say it's great. So that's it.